Today's program is brought to you by HeyIGOS, the Human AI Governance Operating System. Artificial intelligence is changing how organizations work and make decisions. HeyIGOS provides independent human AI governance, helping organizations establish who is responsible, where human review occurs, and how accountability is demonstrated through evidence. HeyIGOS, human first, always. Govern AI before AI governs you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Florida Business Forum, Florida's #1 business forum podcast. Here's your information guru and anchorman, Sam Yates.
Wow!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Florida Business Forum. I'm Sam Yates, your information guru, and I also happen to be the host, so that's the best of both worlds combined. And today I'm pleased to welcome a very special guest. Dr. Curtis Calabrese is running for County Commission, Palm Beach County, and if I do recall, it's District 4.
Yeah, that's right, Sam. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to be here and to talk about Palm Beach County and why I'm running. You know, this is home for me, so this race is really personal, and I'm excited to have this conversation.
You know, we met back when you were in the very early stages of running for county commission. At that time, I was representing a rather large builders association in the Palm Beaches. And one of the topics that we talked about was affordable housing. So I want to get into that, but give us a bit more of your background. Our audience is chomping at the bit because they know that every guest gets to tell their story. We know you're local, but you're more than just a local. You really have a good background. Share it with us.
So first, District 4 is Boca Raton, Delray, Highland Beach, Boynton Beach, largely. However, as a county commissioner, you make decisions for the entire county. It's just those that can actually vote for their commissioner or have to live in that specific district. So a little bit about myself. Once again, I'm Curtis Calabrese, and I was born and raised right here in Palm Beach County in Boca Raton. I attended Verde Elementary. I graduated from Boca High, and in 2012, I took an oath of office to serve my country when I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. It was at the Naval Academy where I earned a Bachelor of Science in Systems Engineering. I then got a Master's in Aeronautics, and more recently, a PhD from the University of New South Wales in Psychology. I've flown combat missions all over the world, hunting terrorists over Somalia and Russian and Iranian submarines all over. So my career has really revolved around three central topics or themes, and that is service, safety, and accountability. And it was after I left active duty that I joined the Navy Reserves as an aerospace engineer, where I conducted weapons testing. And at the same time, I joined the Federal Aviation Administration as an aircraft accident investigator. So I did that for roughly 5 years, where I was conducting about one aircraft accident a week out in California.
Wow.
And I was then I got a job at United Airlines as a 737 pilot, and currently I'm a 767 captain where I do worldwide operations. But more importantly, at United, I love flying and I love being a captain, but I'm also really heavily involved in their safety committee. Specifically, it's called the Event Review Committee. And this is an organization that has there's three legs of the stool. I actually represent United Airlines in each of these events, and it could be something good or it could be something that wasn't so good, like an accident or an incident. And the other legs of the stool are ALPA, or the Airline Pilots Association. There's a union member, and there's also an FAA inspector that represents the FAA administrator. So the three of us analyze every event, and we look at the evidence. We figure out what happened, why it happened, and we provide corrections either to the pilot or recommendations to the company to create systemic changes. And it's those changes that makes United Airlines one of the safest airlines in the world. It's also the largest airline in the world. So we're really proud of all the data that we collect. Everything that we do is evidence-based, it's data-driven, and from that data, we're able to make systemic changes that provides a massive benefit to the flying public. When you buy a ticket on an airline, there's a certain expectation that you're going to land at your destination safely. And that's what I bring to the table as not only an aircraft accident investigator, but also with my education. So I'm really excited to offer that here in Palm Beach County as a commissioner.
Ladies and gentlemen, when I first met Curtis, we talked a bit of aviation because of my background there as well. And one of the things that you can really tell, especially when you're interviewing or discussing something with the pilot, is the attention to detail. No part goes unnoticed, and that's a very special discipline. So, what does that give you with detail and discipline as you address what is going to be going on in Palm Beach County? Can you relate those two?
Absolutely. The attention to detail thing that started way back when I was in high school here at Boca High. I was part of their NJ ROTC program, and it was the number one ROTC program in the United States. And we really learned attention to detail at that young age. And then through the Naval Academy, through the military, and perhaps parts of my campaign team are a little upset about how attention to detail I am on some of our campaign literature and emails, but everything matters. And all of those things really add up. And it's that attention to detail that I brought from aircraft accident investigation into United Airlines and also running for county commission. There's a tremendous overlap between being an aircraft accident investigator and those skills that you learn that can be really leveraged as a county commissioner. So as a aircraft accident investigator, I worked on some of the largest accidents in our lifetime. I was the it's called the IIC of the Kobe Bryant crash out in Calabasas, California, which fatally killed 9 individuals. And there was a massive response. There was we had the FBI there, 3 members of the FBI, the Office of the Inspector General. There was mayors, commissioners, hundreds of law enforcement, fire, and not to mention thousands of individuals from all over LA County that were interested in the accident. And I was the person in charge of that accident. And I was at the time about 27 years old. So that really opened my eyes about the differences in the levels of aircraft accidents, the response, and the level of professionalism you need in order to make those decisions. So in order, that kind of experience in investigating well over 100 aircraft accidents in my career, now with my PhD, I wrote the course on aircraft accident investigation for the University of New South Wales. And I'm an international lecturer where I go around the world. I speak with other airlines. I speak with other schools and universities and other aircraft accident investigators in other countries. And I teach them about what I've learned in the FAA and how they can implement that in their systems and their countries. So one of those things that I teach as a professor is that being an aircraft accident investigator, it's really important to have that experience and that academic knowledge. It's not necessary that you have to be a pilot in order to be an accident investigator. Many aren't. Many are metallurgists or they're cabin safety investigators. But it's bringing all those people together. My profession, being a pilot, but also an academic, is that I tend to be the person in charge of the operations component and typically the IIC. So I cooperate with all the other stakeholders, internal, external, and we collaborate throughout the process of conducting an aircraft accident investigation. But most importantly, it's coming into any one of these situations, these catastrophes, with an open mind. You're not making a solution or coming up with recommendations or coming up with why you think it happened before you got there. You're looking at the data and the evidence as you see it, and you make hypotheses based off of that evidence in front of you. And it's really challenging sometimes. Depending on the situation, you may have a lot of external pressure from different unions, from different aircraft manufacturers, from companies. And as an accident investigator, you have to be independent. Yes, all of that input is so important to making those decisions. But at the end of the day, you have to be unbiased and figure out what happened. But even more important than figuring out what happened, it's coming up with a solution so that it doesn't happen again and coming up with those recommendations. And then that third component is following up on those recommendations and those solutions that were implemented to see if they worked. So it's being an aircraft accident investigator. I think most people look at that as why did an aircraft crash? It's so much more than that. It's coming up with the solution to make the system more safe as a whole. And that really relates to being a commissioner, right?
Yeah.
As someone that's an elected leader, you have to, there's a lot of issues that come before the county commission, and you have to approach each of those with an open mind. look at the evidence and come up with a solution and then validate that solution. And I feel like right now that's kind of what we're missing on the commission level, at city levels, and really all across the board in the United States. It's approaching things as a scientist with a scientific method, with a process that's unbiased, that's not emotional, that's coming up with decisions like that three-legged stool that I talked about. But instead of being unions and the FAA, it's really the residents, it's the government, and it's the special interests, and how you're balancing all those to come up with decisions that benefit everybody.
And as you talk about that, I get a real clear picture of how you're looking at things in Palm Beach County. And also for our audience, I want to say that you have expertise in a tremendous amount of areas that pertain what's going on in the county right now. Your family comes from a builder background in particular, as an example. So as you look at everything that's going on in Palm Beach County, talk about your priorities.
Yeah, so like you said, I come from a background of builders. My family has lived in Palm Beach County for over 80 years, and we're a family of Italian builders, and I'm really proud of that heritage. Unfortunately, they've all left Palm Beach County. I'm one of the last people remaining. My grandparents left, my family left, and that's because of overdevelopment and traffic and housing affordability. So where it once was great to have Christmas here and different holidays, and I'd have all my extended family, they've all moved to Georgia. And quite frankly, Georgia is the new Florida. It's not just people are moving out of Palm Beach County, they're moving out of Florida in general. And it's those people that built Palm Beach County. The reason why Palm Beach County is the way it is because of my family. It's because of all the entrepreneurs and the people that really broke their back to create what we think of Palm Beach County. And it's being replaced by other individuals that don't have that same ethos, that same drive or vision of what Palm Beach County is. They look at Broward County or Los Angeles County and they're trying to recreate that here. They're overdeveloping. I'm not anti-development. Like I said, my family, we're a bunch of builders. I'm for responsible growth and responsible development, not just overdevelopment. And there's a really big distinction there. That means when we're developing, we have the infrastructure in mind. We have the roads in mind, the traffic management, safety, schools. There's a lot more that goes in, that's a part of these decisions that sometimes are overlooked because of the corruption on the county level. Who's involved and who's getting special favors. And sometimes it's those developers, that leg of the stool that I just talked about, that have an outsized role in some of these decisions. And we need someone on the county level that understands that developers are important, but also knows where their place is. And the place is that residents that live here deserve to have proper quality of life. And we shouldn't be allowing these developers to line their pockets with money and get away with not providing any focus on infrastructure, traffic management, and safety, where they can just build tons of houses, large houses, and not have any recourse. There just needs to be a balance. And I think developers are more than willing to come to the table and to have these discussions because at the end of the day, many of them live here and they have families that live here. So it's just about having these conversations, being open-minded and working with all the stakeholders, just like I did on an aircraft accident site, balancing hundreds of people and their where they're coming from and everyone's attitudes. It's the same level on the county commission. It's very complex, but you need people that are in charge that can look at a complex situation, a chaotic situation, and make decisive decisions that are based in evidence.
How do we get to affordable housing, what I call workforce housing? Three of my neighbors are Palm Beach County deputy sheriffs or work for the sheriff's department, and I live in Martin County. And why they live here, it's more affordable. So
Absolutely.
how do we get in Palm Beach County to that workforce affordable housing?
So I was a product of public education. I went to Verde Elementary, Boca High, and the Naval Academy is a public school too. I'm really proud to be from those schools. At the time when I went to Boca High, it was one of the top 100 schools in the United States, one of the only public schools on that list. Right now, Florida teachers are the lowest paid teachers in the United States. Here we are bragging about how much money we're making in the state of Florida, but yet we don't pay our teachers. So not only can they not afford to live in Palm Beach County, they really can't afford to live in the state. And now we have teachers leaving the state. And that has an effect on the schools. So one of the things we can do as a county is utilize our county land to build workforce housing. And again, workforce housing and this development, they're not two different sides of the coin. It's just about being managed properly and really knowing where your priorities lay. Is it building more $3, $4 million residential houses? Or is it potentially that we need to build housing that people here in Palm Beach County can actually afford? The people that work here, that provide for our children, that provide for our safety. And I think that is my solution. So we've identified a problem. And one of the easiest solutions that we can do is slate that county land for workforce housing and specifically for public school teachers. The city of Boynton Beach did this with their city land, and it worked really well. And I think that's something that we can do here in Palm Beach County, across the entire county, is utilize our county land to build workforce housing and slate it first for teachers and see if they want to utilize that housing. That'll be a massive benefit for them. And then after there, it'll be first responders and so on until the general public. But that's something that we can do immediately as a county. It's here in Palm Beach County, we don't have a demand side issue, right? This is economics, it's supply and demand. It's a supply issue. So how do we continue to construct, to build houses without putting more pressure on our existing infrastructure? It's possible. There's a solution for everything. We just have to have someone that's willing to have these conversations, provide the solution, and make sure there's follow through. That we're not allowing developers to say one thing and then not follow through with those requirements.
You know, as we're speaking right now, we are into the early voting period for Palm Beach County. So, two things. I know that as people are listening to you, they're going, holy moly, how can I help out in this? How can people help with donations or otherwise help volunteer, maybe be out there on the street knocking on doors? How can they get in touch with you and do something to make some of those differences, like housing for teachers? That should be a hot button. How can they help?
Oh, I appreciate that. You know, right now it's the primary that's going on. I'm very thankful that I'm one of the few candidates here in South Florida that doesn't have a primary election. So I am keenly focused on the general and winning the general election on November 3rd. But we're starting now. We're starting out now, putting out yard signs, knocking on doors, and it's that grassroots effort that really makes a difference. So you can reach out to me. My website's curtiscalabrese.com. You can Google it. You can just reach out. There's a contact form there. I'd love to get involved. We'd also love a donation because my campaign is really built on the grassroots, on people, on residents that care about this district, your city, these issues, and not being funded by just special interests and developers like my opponent is. I know over the last 20 years, there's been a large shift from caring about our local government, and now everyone's focused on the national news. 24 hours a day, you have Fox on or CNN on, and all we care about is what Trump is doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Where back in the day, 20 years ago, we'd actually used to watch the local news, and you would know what's going on in your society. Well, the things that affect us the most are those local issues. It's your school, it's the traffic, it's the development. Trump's not doing that. Those are your local politicians. So I would say you need to get involved, pay attention, know who your commission is, know who your mayor is, so you can make educated votes so that you and your life can actually get better. It's about your quality of life. And the only way it's going to get better is by getting involved. So that's what I have to say. I really appreciate your time. Do you have any more questions?
Oh, absolutely, I do. And Dr. Calabrese, I want to say what you just touched on is why we are doing what we are doing here, because that local news element is going away, increasingly going away as the networks and even at a local level coverage changes. So we're dedicated to helping people understand what's going on in their communities and around the state. And that's the reason for 2 years in a row now, we're the number one focused podcast forum for business news and not-for-profit news. So we get it. We absolutely get it. Here at a local level, we've touched on affordable housing, also the need for infrastructure. One thing that I see a lot of people talking about, and I don't need to go into my connection with AI or anything like that, because that wouldn't be fair. But people are talking about what's happening with AI and what's happening with, for example, flock cameras. Opinion?
Yeah, so AI is it's coming. It's here, and we're utilizing it. It's really important. It can have a lot of great impacts on our life for efficiency. Airlines are currently using that to analyze data to make the system safer. As a pilot, we have autonomous equipment on our aircraft, but it's all about accountability. As a pilot, we don't just allow the system to go rogue to say, well, the system errored, it's its fault, and then something happens with the aircraft. No matter what, there has to be someone that's accountable. And that's really the crux of AI, is that we just can't let systems do whatever they want with no one being on the hook for when something erroneous happens. It's coming. Data centers are a large conversation here in Palm Beach County, specifically with Project Tango. The county commission effectively delayed that vote until after the midterm elections. So depending on who's in office then, I think we might see a different outcome, unfortunately. So that was clearly constructed. But data centers, we will talk about that first. People say, like, we just don't want it in our backyard. As someone that flies over the state of Florida, flies over the United States on a pretty regular basis, we do have quite a lot of empty land. Here, you may just look around where you live and you see there's a lot of people around you. Well, that's because we like to live on top of each other because of all the resources that we collectively share. But there is quite a bit of empty land. Do we need to have a data center in our backyard? Probably not the most effective use of land here in Palm Beach County, but potentially other counties in Florida or other counties in different states where they want that economic growth that does come with some of those data centers. Flock cameras is a totally different issue. I think most people understand data centers and having a 5 million square foot warehouse that's 70 foot tall with roaring jet engines. It's loud and all the issues that come with that. But flock cameras are a little different. And from what those conversations I have with voters, most people don't know what a flock camera is. I would say 9 out of 10 have never heard of it. And even those people that have heard of it really don't know what they are. So let's be clear about what we're really talking about. There's a difference between highlighting a company and what they provide, like a Ring camera, and the underlying basis of the conversation, which I think is mass surveillance. Right? There's a conversation on license plate cameras that have been around for decades, and they're really important. I had a car stolen once, and because of license plate cameras, my car was returned within 48 hours. So there's definitely value with having license plate cameras installed in a city. That is not the same thing as a mass surveillance or a surveillance state. And that's what Flock is bringing to the table. They bring to the table not only really highly sophisticated cameras, but also the AI and the technology that supports a surveillance system where it's tracking where you're going. It's creating patterns and behaviors to know where you're going, what you're doing, what house you're visiting, what grocery store you're going to, how long you've been on the road. It's all of that that's concerning. So is it about surveillance itself, or is it really about power? So if you read the book 1984, that's really what we're talking about. And it's about power and who controls that power. Do we want our government having this incredible tool that's unchecked and unfettered? Again, it goes back to AI and having accountability and creating really strict governance and policies. And by having accountability, you create trust in the system. There has to be trust. And right now, the anecdotal evidence that's out there is that Flock isn't trusted, that our smaller local governments have a powerful tool that they aren't employing properly. I personally have a mistrust in our federal government and our local governments, and for right reasons. It's because our governments are controlled by special interests and lobbyists and other groups. And I think other people should be more skeptical. Why do we want to give our government more power unless the power has some kind of unique advantage? And again, it's just show me the evidence. I'm an evidence-driven person. So if you can show me that Flock cameras are creating a much more safe community, then perhaps that's a different conversation. But in the meta-analysis that I conducted on Flock cameras and surveillance, that hasn't been the case. There's been one study recently that showed mixed results, and it wasn't statistically significant. And the results are based off something called deterrence, specific deterrence and general deterrence. So a specific deterrent, a deterrent effect, is the likelihood that one person who committed a crime is going to commit a crime based off that intervention, that change, something that happened. It's called recidivism. And then there is general deterrence, where it's the effect on the general population. Are they going to commit a crime or commit some kind of action? Well, the fact is, if the population doesn't know about the intervention, and in this case, Flock cameras, how can it have a general or a specific effect? Therefore, we're not going to say a safety impact because people don't know about it. And this is just public policy 101. If our governments were so proud of these systems and so proud of the safety benefits, why aren't they publicly saying it? Why isn't my opponent, when the county commissioners, excited that we're $1.2 billion over budget and we're creating a mass surveillance system here in Palm Beach County? Probably because it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Right? That's really what this comes down to. If you're so proud of it, then let people know. And I think you know something's wrong is when the government hides it from you. They're installing these systems in secret. They're painting them black. They're hiding them in bushes. They're hiding them in cones. If you have to hide things from the people, perhaps it's not something that the people want and it's not appropriate. So I come from this from a very skeptical perspective, primarily because I have a lot of mistrust, as I think most Americans should, with the way things have been going on over the last several decades in our country. It starts with the Patriot Act and going to a war in Iraq, these wars in Iran. This is a national issue, and it's being pushed on county commissioners to deal with, just like data centers. So again, it's up to the people to be educated, to learn about the systems, to get involved, and to hold your county commissioners responsible for the decisions that they make, for the positions that they're putting us in. Do I want to live in a communist state, in a state where there's mass surveillance like China? No, I don't. It's not about that I'm doing anything wrong. I'm a pretty squeaky clean person, but I also care about privacy and I care about freedom. And as someone that has both a very extreme safety background, I'm a safety expert, but I also fought for our country overseas for freedom. And both things, you can have both. And I think there's just this argument that's being pushed at the national level that you have to give up your freedom to be safe, and that's a lie. And that's just not true. It's a failure on our governments, that are saying that we're giving up, that we can't provide any more safety unless you give up your freedom. And that's what they want, and that's what I'm pushing back on, and that's what I'm fighting against.
Dr. Curtis Calabrese, I want you one more time to let people know how they can get in touch with you and how they can support your campaign.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My website is curtiscalabrese.com. You can email me on that website, fill out a form, and I'll be happy to get in touch with you. We'd love people to volunteer, to donate, or just to stay informed. You know, an informed population is the most effective. So I'm putting out emails on a pretty regular basis on all of these issues, on what I think about them. I just recently did one on flock cameras, on data centers, and the more people are interested, the more you learn, the better society that we're going to have.
In a couple of moments we have left here, give us a quick, brief summary. Why should the voters of Palm Beach County put you in office?
Palm Beach County is at a crossroads right now. We see it every day with our traffic, our infrastructure, with corruption that's going on, government overspending. It's up to the voters and the residents to determine which way Palm Beach County is going to go. Are we going to go the way of LA County and Broward County, or are we going to forge our own path? Are we going to put people on the county commission, leaders that care, that truly care about Palm Beach County? Or are we going to elect individuals that are beholden to special interests, lobbyists, and developers? And everyone needs to come up with that answer inside and look at the candidates. What I bring to the table is unique. I'm the only commissioner that's going to be born and raised here in Boca. So this is not a stepping stone for me. This is my home, and that's why I'm fighting for it. Just like I fought overseas, and I've always served. I've served presidents of every party, and I've served all Americans. And as someone that's going to be on the county commission, while it is a partisan seat, what I bring to the table is a proven track record of helping all people, of serving the public as an aircraft accident investigator, working for United Airlines. It doesn't matter what your background is. My goal is to create an environment that's first and foremost safe and for the residents. And as a resident, as someone that's born and raised here, I'm proud of that. And I'm not beholden to anybody. I'm beholden to myself. And I expect you and I expect everybody else to hold me to that standard, the highest standard, and have me prove it. That's what I'm here to do. I'm not running. I'm not taking a pay cut here just because it's fun. I don't need any more titles. My goal here is to make our quality of life better.
Toughest question. We've covered a lot of territory. When you are elected, this is a tough question. Will you be able to come back and talk to us again?
Yeah, I absolutely. I'm excited to come back, and I want you to hold me to it. Hold my feet to the fire, and ask, what have I done? These are the things that I've talked about. What's changed? How is our life better? And I think every resident should be asking their commissioners that. Every resident should be asking all their elected leaders that. They all come up with promises and they say these grandiose things, but is anything changing, or are things getting worse? And if that's the case, you just have to do research. You have to figure out which candidate, which elected official out there has your best interests in mind and at heart.
Appreciate you being here. Thank you very much, Dr. Curtis Calabrese.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it.
And that is going to wrap up this episode of the Florida Business Forum podcast. And until our next episode, everyone, have a great day, everybody. You've been listening to Florida's #1 Business Forum podcast. Thanks for listening. Until our next episode, stay tuned for more business.
It's gonna make me wow.